has been called for. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are here to testify, if you get subpoenaed to be here as a witness, you have to step outside the courtroom. You're not allowed to discuss this matter whatsoever with anyone outside the courtroom. Is there anyone present that was subpoenaed here today?
Or we would also ask if they were subpoenaed last time, perhaps by the state of Tennessee, because obviously we didn't waste the county's resources reissuing our subpoenas for this day, as we would not get to our subpoena, or witnesses rather, but feel that the spirit of the sequestration would apply to them, as we know they would be witnesses in the future.
All right. So was anyone that was subpoenaed for the last hearing that didn't testify? I think I see one gentleman that did testify. Is that correct?
He testified, Your
He
Honor.
testified already. He's allowed to be in the courtroom unless
Yes.
the state's going to recall.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Let the record reflect that there are no witnesses present in the courtroom at this time. Counsel, you're reminded of the sequestration rule to inform your witnesses not to discuss this case with anyone. All right. Mr. Bates?
Yes,
Call
Your
your
Honor.
next witness.
And I do have transcripts for the court and a witness as last time. Call Ms. Beth Boswell.
All right. Are these going to be entered as an exhibit or just for the court to review while she's testifying?
Correct. At any time, if we refer to the transcripts are already part of the record in this case.
I see. Thank you. Let's get Ms. Boswell.
Yeah.
Good morning, Ms. Boswell.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Got a book right here. Let's swear you in, please.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
State your name, please, ma'am.
Beth Boswell.
And how do I refer to you? General, Assistant U.S. Attorney Boswell, Miss Boswell?
Miss Boswell's fine.
Okay. And in May, you were under subpoena as well in this case,
That's correct.
and a TUI letter was issued.
That's correct.
Okay.
And if I may pass to the witness. Do you recognize that TUI letter?
I do, but this is actually the letter to you, so I have my own authorization for
Okay.
today.
And is anything changed from the initial authorization for your testimony?
No, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd mark the copy I received as the next numbered exhibit.
Objection, counsel.
No, but that's his letter, correct? It's Mr.
This
Bates'
is
letter
Mr. Bates'
to
letter.
the federal government? Yes, no, sir.
All right, without objections, I think we're at exhibit 65, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Boswell, just so I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about your time as the Assistant District Attorney, which you agree is subject to the rules of evidence, fair game today.
Yes, sir.
And on your federal side, just the prosecution of John Dylan Adams.
That's correct.
Okay. Want to
All right, Mr. Bates, let's clarify that a little bit more to make it clear for the record.
Okay.
If we can, or maybe you'll do it in your questioning. At what stage Ms. Boswell brought into this case, and what stage she departed the case and took another role?
I will, Your Honor.
Okay,
I will.
thank you.
All right, we're going to travel back in time to April 13th, 2011. I'm going to ask you questions about your professional capacities during this time frame. What would you say your primary job was?
In April of 2011, my only job was Principal Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the 24th Judicial District.
Okay. And what county, were you in charge of all 5 counties?
That's correct. I tried all the murders, rapes, robberies, anything super violent. I was a trial attorney only at that time.
How long had you served in that capacity?
As an ADA,
Yes, ma'am.
I came to Tennessee to prosecute in 1998.
Okay.
I now have 33 years in as prosecuting.
And when did you leave being an assistant district attorney in this 24th Judicial District?
There was some overlap, but I started full-time as an assistant United States attorney in August of 2014.
You also were the assistant United States attorney prosecuting John Dylan Adams.
That's correct.
How often had you had a dual role within the federal government prior to the prosecution of John Dylan Adams?
As far as federal and state,
Yes, ma'am.
I started as a special assistant United States attorney for the Western District of Tennessee in August of 2011. So from August 2011 until I was hired full-time in August of 2014, for those 3 years, in addition to being an ADA for the 24th Judicial District, I was also a special assistant United States attorney.
Now, in your role as assistant district attorney, were you typically involved in pre-indictment consultation with TBI and local law enforcement?
Absolutely.
Were you kept apprised of how the investigations were going in your cases?
Yes.
Did you consult and advise TBI?
Yes.
How would you summarize the Holly Bobo case? Was it a bigger case in your career?
Was it what?
A bigger case?
Yes, it was a bigger case.
Stands out.
Yes.
You still have a good memory of that work?
It was a long time ago. I remember some things really well, and there are probably a lot of things I don't remember.
Okay. When were you brought in with work on this Holly Bobo case?
I was in another trial on April 13th of 2011. Otherwise, I would have been in Decatur County on that day. That was on a Wednesday. What I did do when I was alerted, I could not come to the scene, but I had a list and started calling law enforcement people to go help out. So I did do that while I was in trial, and then I first went to Decatur County on Friday, April 15th of 2011.
And from that time until August of 2011, were you involved in this case?
Yes, all the way up until August of 2014 when I came full-time. I still had to do a role.
And did you participate in any other matter regarding the state court proceedings after August of 2014?
No.
Okay. Were you present after coming to Decatur County for the attempt to recreate the cell phone journey of Holly Bobo on April 13th, 2011?
Can you ask that again?
Sure. Did you work with law enforcement and other people to recreate where Holly Bobo's cell phone was on April 13th, 2011?
No.
Did you ever work with anyone regarding trying to recreate her route that day?
No. Other than them advising me of certain things about the phone evidence, but no recreations.
And when you say them, who is them?
Law enforcement, TBI and/or TBI for sure.
Anybody else?
I mean, a lot of people were working on the case, so I don't know for sure.
Marshal John Walker?
No, I had very little involvement with Marshal Walker.
At some point, were you part of a discussion regarding installing a wiretap in the home and on the phone of Terry Britt?
Yes.
And when did that start?
I think the first mention of Terry Britt in the case was somewhere the middle of 2011, maybe July or August, somewhere in there. So there were a lot of things going on. There were numerous suspects. So as to Britt, we did begin working on him, and January of 2012 was when we were doing the wires and search warrants and things like that.
Why did it take so long to begin the wiretap?
It's hard to get wiretaps. I mean, that's the whole point. There are certain levels of authorization. You can't just swear to something with nothing there.
Did you review the application for the wiretap?
I did.
And the witness can be handed Exhibit 56. And you have it, Exhibit 56 in front of you?
I do.
And can you let's go through trying to find, let's go through it. Exhibit, or page 9, identification of Terry Lee Britt as a suspect. You know when it was determined that he was a registered violent sex offender?
I'm sure we knew that early on. I believe we had a list of all the sex offenders within so many miles of the crime scene.
And his past predatory behavior, how long did it take you to get that?
Some of that would have been a little longer because we were getting, I think, offense reports and judgments and just accumulating knowledge as to what the past was.
Terry Britt's alibi proven false. How long did that take to develop? Page 10.
I think there's some discrepancy as to that, but I do believe that there's a time period during April 13th of 2011 where there were some phone calls between he and his wife, as I remember, and he had indicated he had been with her the whole day. It was a very short time period where there were phone calls. Without even looking at this, going off my memory, it was in the middle of the day, like 12 to 1 or 2, something like that. There were some phone calls back and forth between them, which did indicate that he lied at least as to that time period.
Well, you reviewed this prior to it going to Judge McGinley.
That's correct.
And in bold, on essentially almost a page and a half, page 10 to 11, is Terry Britt's alibi is proven false.
Correct.
Then, page,
I would like to say, though, these are very fluid, so the probable cause that's listed in here, of course, is as we know it at the time. So I'm noting on page 10, where you asked me to look, that it says they did not purchase a bathtub on the day of April 13th of 2011. That was because Terry Dykes went to All Good Salvage to ask if a bathtub had been purchased, and they did not have a record of it. I let Terry Dykes know that as a state ADA in the 24th, I was very familiar with Slim Allgood and All Good Salvage, and that they did not keep good records by anybody's standards. I know at a later time we did find a receipt at the search warrant in January of 2012, and Dykes took that back to All Good Salvage, and though they didn't have a receipt, they did verify that that was Slim Allgood's writing on the receipt. So it is fluid, but yes, at the time that we did this, Allgood had said that they did not buy a tub.
were you aware that this bath receipt was put in the safe at Terry Britt's house?
Yes.
That strike you as unusual?
No, not at all. I think he also had a receipt for purchasing a Coke at a gas station. For a sex offender, especially as organized as he is, and any others, they heard of a crime like this, I'm sure they kept anything they could to show where they were that day.
Okay. Or where they chose to go?
I can't speak to what they choose.
Changes in physical appearance, page 11 and 12. And if you look on page 12, middle of the second paragraph, it states September 1st, 2011 was when Mr. Britt was observed.
Okay.
Is that,
I don't know what you're asking.
well, I'm trying to figure out why did it take so long from, if the change of appearance was in September, why wait until January?
If I can explain this to you pretty easily. When this crime happened, there were hundreds of potential suspects, and this carried on throughout. It was piece by piece evidence, day by day, hour by hour, and year by year. So we were looking at people that went to nursing school with Holly, her friends, the family friends, anybody that had done work at the Bobo's house, sex offenders. The list goes on and on and on. And nothing was digital at this point. So going back to when we were actually at the command center, the way that was working, everybody showed up. It was social media. We had four-wheelers. We had people with horses, people with dogs, metal detectors, and all we could do was try to organize this. So people were calling in, and they were getting a handwritten piece of paper that had somebody called in. They handed it to a team of law enforcement that could be made up of people from multiple different agencies. They would take that piece of paper, and then they would go and interview that person, and they should interview wherever that leads them until they clear that. Then they would bring it back, and they'd put a check mark on that piece of paper, and then that piece of paper would get filed somewhere, and it didn't get entered till a lot later. So we weren't only working Terry Britt. We were getting focused, towards the end of 2011 and then into 2012. We put a lot of emphasis on him at that point, pretty much throughout that year, but there were other things still going on constantly.
Well, is that the reason for the delay, or was it your prior statement that it takes a lot to get the search warrant?
No, I think it was all of that. I'm just saying you can't just go get a wire overnight. So, but as far as any delay, we were working everything as we could work it, but he was still not the only person. leads were still coming in, and we were still going through old things. And we were all working 15, 16-hour days, sometimes more.
Understand. And y'all use the analysis of Holly Bobo's cell records,
Correct?
Mr. Britt's proximity to the physical evidence recovered,
Correct?
Mr. Britt's pre-abduction knowledge of Holly Bobo,
Correct?
additional predatory behavior of Mr. Britt,
Correct?
enabling and suspicious behavior of Janet Britt,
Correct?
and your office, in conjunction with TBI, submitted there was probable cause that Mr. Britt had committed these crimes.
Correct?
And I'm going to ask you, when did you know that Mr. Britt should have been prosecuted successfully in Madison County for the attempted rape of Tequila Jones?
I'm not
sure I
ignoring, I'm not,
understand. I'm gonna object, I don't understand the question, prosecuted successfully, I don't know what
All right,
that
I'll
means.
rephrase.
We can't,
All right, objection sustained. Rephrase the question.
What's your knowledge of Mr. Britt and Tequila Jones?
I knew that there was a case, I believe she was a prostitute. It occurred in a moving vehicle. I think she had about the same baggage you expect a prostitute to have. And I know that Madison County did come back later and charge that case. They did think it was going to be very hard to win, but they didn't have to get there because he wound up pleading guilty to it.
Okay. So when did the crime take place?
It's probably in here, but I would guess say 08, 09, something like that.
Okay. And were you aware of Mr. Britt's preliminary hearing in general sessions not going forward?
I don't remember that.
Do you know when the indictment was in Circuit Court of Madison County?
I'm guessing, but I think it was 2012 sometime.
Okay. And how soon after that did Mr. Britt plead, to your knowledge?
I don't remember that. It would be on the judgment sheet.
Bench copy of one for the court and for the witness.
Witness has been handed the document.
Have you looked at those documents before?
I'm sure that I did, and I'm familiar with what a state judgment looks like.
Does that look like a state judgment?
Yes, sir.
And what's the date of the conviction?
The judgment was entered June 7th of 2012.
Your Honor, I'd move to mark this as a collective next exhibit.
Objections?
no, sir, no, sir.
Oh, without objections, we'll mark the judgments of carried away from June 7th, 2012. 4 pages, collected exhibit 66.
Now, in your experience as a prosecutor in state court, is it unusual for you for a weak case or a difficult case, a challenging case to prosecute, that's arraigned at the end of January, plea out 5 months later, less than 5 months later?
I've prosecuted thousands of cases, so I don't think there's any set thing for anything. I don't know that that's unusual. When I was prosecuting in Houston, people came in and pled to felonies the morning they got arrested. They waived indictment, pled to an information, and went to the Texas Department of Corrections. So I don't know that there's a time period. That doesn't mean much to me, the 5 months in there.
All right. To your knowledge, after the arrest of January, or do you know when Mr. Britt was detained based on these charges?
I don't.
All right. Was it soon after the indictment?
I don't know when he went into custody.
Well, within a couple of weeks of the indictment, an application to Judge McGinley had went based on probable cause that he committed these crimes, correct?
We had probable. It is in this wire about that crime, if that's what you're asking.
No. You and General McAdams, let me ask this, General McAdams further corroborated to the Judge McGinley, we feel there's probable cause that Mr. Britt committed these Holly Bobo crimes.
I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to. He really didn't handle day-to-day matters, but I'm assuming because under statute in Tennessee, the elected DA has to approve a wiretap, that may be what you're referring to.
Okay.
I don't know if it is.
Were you aware if he did or not?
Not verbally, but he would have to do the letter to authorize the wiretap.
Okay. So 18 days after the application, an indictment comes in Madison County for this individual, Terry Britt, for charges that took place, I believe, in 2009.
If I don't have that paperwork anymore, but if that's what the judgment shows or the indictment shows, then yes.
And my question is, did you have any involvement in Mr. Britt's case in this Madison County arrest conviction for attempted rape of Tequila Jones?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance of this lengthy line of questioning as it relates to what happened in, I believe this is Madison County, relative to Terry Britt, a witness that the jury heard from at trial. This is a post-conviction.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's relevance as to the story of how the state changed from believing Terry Britt committed this crime.
And the question was, did Ms. Boswell have any involvement
Correct.
in that? So I'm going to overrule the objection. You can ask the question.
Okay. Do you mind repeating it?
Sure. Did you have any, I'll ask it this way. Did you have any discussions with the prosecuting attorney in Jackson about Terry Britt?
I did.
Did you tell him that he was your lead suspect in the Holly Bobo case?
I don't know that I said that because I wouldn't have discussed what was really going on with this. I could have. I don't remember that. But I definitely made him aware of the older case and wanted to know if there was anything he could do about looking into it.
Okay. That's pre-indictment.
That's correct.
Okay. So after the indictment, what was your involvement?
Nothing.
There were no communications about this case whatsoever.
As far as with Madison County, that's what you're asking me.
Right.
I mean, he may have called to tell me when he was gonna plead guilty or what he had offered, but no, other than maybe him letting me know, I had no other conversations.
And at some point, did you listen to the wiretaps of Mr. Brett?
Usually I would just look at the synopsis or go by what law enforcement provided me, because had I been the trial attorney on anything where I needed to do that, then I might do that, but I don't recall listening to the wiretap. I would have been involved in the 10 or 15 day report back to Judge McGinley about whatever was going on with it, but I don't recall, at least as to the phone. I remember a few calls at the beginning, but other than that, no.
Anything jump out at you as significant on the phone portion of the wiretap?
No, I mean, just that he was super controlling of his wife, but other than that, no.
Okay. Nothing jumped out at you as the state prosecuting attorney about Mr. Brett during the phone calls? I want to make sure I understand.
No.
And
Not
there
that I
was
recall.
also an audio component of I guess, a microphone in the home.
It was an oral communication. There was a separate wire for that, yes.
And were you part of the reviewing the end of progress report of the audio intercept?
I'm sure I was.
Do you remember what was submitted to the judge as to why the audio intercept did not produce evidence against Mr. Brett?
I don't remember that. I mean, I know the whole purpose of the oral communication was to capture one conversation only, and we did capture that conversation.
Do you remember reviewing that document that I've handed you?
The witness has been handed a document, it's gonna be entered, Mr. Bates. We'll mark for identification, exhibit 67.
Do you remember reviewing this application on behalf of the state of Tennessee to Judge McGinley?
I don't have an independent recollection, but as I said, I'm sure that I did.
Okay. And do you see where it says why evidence was not obtained? Paragraph, I believe, 6.
I'm reading it. The stimulation failed to produce the evidence. As I said, we captured the one conversation that we were trying to capture.
Can you read the paragraph, the stimulation failed to produce evidence?
And then the failure occurred in large part because the equipment failed to perform as it was intended. It was hard to hear. This says unable to hear or understandable conversation, correct?
And can you, to your knowledge, was this submitted to the judge?
He signed it. I recognize his handwriting.
All right. Your Honor, I move to mark this in the next network exhibit.
No, sir.
Without objection, we'll move it into evidence, exhibit 67.
I forgot you.
How would you describe this document, Mr. Bates? It's the
End
final
of-
report signed by Judge McGinley for
It's the,
special equipment installed in the home of Terry and Janet Brett.
it's the final report.
Go ahead.
Now, at some point, Terry Brett stopped to be, well, let me ask this, was Terry Brett the lead suspect for a while in this case?
Yes,
And at some point, he stopped to be the lead suspect.
correct.
And is it true that the failure to obtain evidence from the wiretap is the main reason?
No,
What was?
we didn't get anything. We did
On what?
as evidence against him. We did, the oral communication had never been done in Tennessee before. We had wires on the landline, wires on Janet and Terry's cell phone. We did a search warrant at his house. We had a poll camera where we surveilled the house. We did DNA testing on items. We did fingerprinting. We took all the tools. We searched his cars. We searched his house. He made no statements. There weren't witnesses that had heard him say anything. It was all of those reasons. We focused a large amount on him, mostly based off of his prior criminal history and a propensity to be somebody who could do a crime like this. But when we went through A to Z, including things that had not been done before, and tore everything apart, there was nothing there.
Well, it was there in mid-January for probable cause.
January of 2012.
Right. How soon after that did Mr. Britt go to jail pending his charges in Madison County?
Whatever that judgment shows. You said it was, I don't know, 5 months or 6 months, I don't know.
Did he bond out?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So, he was in jail for 2012 prior to pleading in June.
Correct.
All right. Fair to say that the wiretap was the big effort in this case versus Terry Britt?
I don't know that it was a big effort. I mean, wiretaps are part of an investigation. I mean, there were a lot of other things that everybody was doing, as I just listed out.
But all of it established probable cause in January of 2012, and then he goes to jail on charges in Madison County several weeks after that. The only thing that took place in between that was the wiretap, right?
No, we did the search warrant was done in January of 2012, all those things that I listed, and then we waited for results from that to come back.
Why did the search warrant take so long to get? For the
This
home?
has been asked and answered.
For the home?
Different warrant.
I don't know that it took that long, sir. I mean, the first investigative report, as I said, that came out on Britt was June or July of 2011. That was like one report of somebody calling, in addition to the hundreds of other calls that were coming in and that we were still working. Okay. So this was a process, as I said, piece by piece, day by day, and then we developed, the probable cause to further the investigation, at the end of which he was excluded as a suspect.
You can. One for the witness, one for the court.
The witness has been handed a document will mark for identification of Exhibit 68.
And you remember looking at this type of document?
I really don't know that I ever reviewed these line sheets.
Do you know what it is?
I do know what this is, but I don't know that I reviewed this.
Okay. And then can you look at
I mean,
line?
I would have been party to anything that anybody thought was relevant would have been told to me by TBI.
All right. And then look at line 45. And can you read the synopsis?
Call from SM to TB talked about damage to house and trailer. SM asked if TB had a black light, said the black light would show blood and show where the law may have sprayed luminol. SM told TB to be careful what he said because they might have phones bugged and they might have the house bugged too.
And what date was that?
January 18th.
All right. You would agree with me that's significant.
It's a call that he had where somebody's telling him that he needed to be careful about things.
Do you agree it's significant?
I mean, it wasn't anything he said, it was something she said, so
If you say it's not significant, just say it's not significant that the target of the wiretap was told he might be being wiretapped.
I mean, I'm not saying it had no relevance to this, but I don't know that I would find this that significant because he didn't say it. I mean, I think most criminals know that there's a chance that they could be wiretapped. So if the point is, do I think he could have had knowledge? Possibly he could have had that or even thought it on his own, and this person told him that.
All right, move to mark this the next numbered exhibit.
Objection, Ms. Martin.
No.
Without objection, we'll move to evidence of 68.
When I asked,
This is a log of the wiretap, is that what that is?
yes, Sean. When I asked you earlier, did anything significant come of the wiretap? Did you not know that he was told specifically you might be bugged?
I think I did. I think I was aware of that call. Yeah.
Just not significant enough to tell the court. It wasn't that important to you.
I mean, what I had said earlier was that we did get the one conversation that we were trying to stimulate to get over the oral communication.
Were you aware there were cameras on Mr. Britt's residence
I said we had poll cams and did surveillance.
that Mr. Britt had installed?
No, I don't recall that.
Did you ever, you have no memory of looking through any cameras whatsoever that Mr. Britt owned?
No.
Now, after the wiretap, the final report, was there further applications to the judge about either Terry Britt or Janet Britt?
I don't recall. I don't know the dates of when we gathered things. Like I said, I know we had GPS tracking devices. So there were other applications, but I don't know when in time that would be.
And again, would you have reviewed search warrants in this case?
Yes, sir.
Is she done with exhibit 68?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's give that to the court. And for clarification, explain SM and TB on that text, please.
Do you- I'm going to ask the witness. Do you remember listening to a Sherry Manis?
I don't remember listening to any of those calls, but I know that name, and I think she is connected to Terry Britt.
And do you know how?
I don't know if it was a sister,
Okay.
maybe?
And TB, what was that shorthand for?
Terry Britt.
All right. So the end of report is early February. And to your knowledge, some point we know Terry Britt goes to Madison County Jail to wait bond for the Tequila Jones crime.
He went to court on the Tequila Jones case, yes.
And your testimony is we received nothing on the wiretap, nothing significant.
No, that's not what I said. I said we did get a call that I thought was significant.
Was that, what was said on that call?
That was the oral communication when we stimulated it so that Janet and Terry would enter the house at the same time together and see the search warrant paperwork. And he said, I've done a lot of paraphrasing, I've done a lot of bad shit, but I didn't touch this Bobo bitch.
Okay, and that's the search warrant through his home?
Correct.
Okay, not the search warrant for the wiretap?
It was, I mean, they were all the same. A wiretap is for phones, an oral communication, which was the bug in the house.
But he was not shown that quite yet?
The wiretap?
Correct.
No, he wouldn't have known about the wiretap.
Until after?
Till after what?
The wiretap's over, don't you have to send notice?
When the investigation is ongoing, we don't give them that at that time.
Okay. On February the 9th, this is after all wiretaps, Agent Booth sent a search warrant for Janet Britt, correct?
The witness has been handed a search warrant that marks up for identification of Exhibit 69.
That's correct.
And did you approve, in part of your collaborative work, this approach?
I would have.
Your Honor, if we mark this the next numbered exhibit.
Objections?
No, sir.
Moving into evidence is Exhibit 69. And this is for DNA of Janet Britt.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you remember what vehicles of Mr. Britt's were searched?
I think anything that was there.
Okay. Do you remember a Dodge Dakota?
I don't remember the kinds of vehicles they were. We searched all the vehicles.
In 2012, after the search warrant to Miss Janet Britt, do you remember a meeting with Terry Dykes where he presented a PowerPoint?
I do.
All right. Do you remember when that was?
I do.
When was it?
February of 2013.
Okay. So now let's talk this 12-month period from February 2012 to February 2013. Who was the lead case agent on this case?
Terry Dykes.
How long had you worked with Terry Dykes?
I really don't know the answer to that, but I did work cases with him. I don't know when he came on at TBI or.
Okay. Who called for the TBI PowerPoint meeting?
The way the PowerPoint came about was Terry Dykes took a copy of his PowerPoint to Hansel McAdams and handed it to him, saying he wanted Hansel to review it and he wanted to come to present charges as to Terry Britt to Hansel, which he had no authority to do. Nobody from TBI authorized it. At the time that he did that, all of the TBI agents were no longer, everyone believed that Terry Britt had been excluded as a suspect. Without the knowledge of anybody with TBI or his superiors, which he should have had to try to present an actual case for charges, he gave it to Hansel McAdams, asking for a meeting between just he and Hansel and nobody else. Hansel McAdams said he was not going to do that, that it was his understanding that he had been excluded, that we would have the meeting, but he wanted me there and all of the agents and supervisors from TBI, the Western District of Tennessee. Then I called everybody to set the meeting up.
All right. Was Marshal John Walker there?
I don't remember that.
FBI agent Art Viveros?
Art retired in December of 2012. I don't recall him being present.
Could he have been there?
He could have been.
Anybody invite him, to your knowledge?
I wouldn't have, because he was retired. I would not have invited him.
At this meeting, was it discussed? You know, on January 17th, Terry Britt said he might be being bugged.
I don't remember that.
Did anybody say, you know, the audio failed? And that's the big reason it didn't get evidence. The audio equipment failed.
It just wasn't clear hearing, sir. Like, you couldn't hear it clear. I understand what's in the document. The document says that it did. But again, we were trying to capture that very first conversation, which we were able to hear.
All right. Well, it's important when TBI reports to a judge to be honest.
That's right.
So is there any reason to believe in February of 2012, Agent Booth was being dishonest to Judge McGinley when he said the main reason we didn't obtain evidence is equipment failure?
No, and he also said that the stimulation, he referenced as to the stimulation. It didn't work great. It did not work great. You could hear things, but you couldn't hear clear conversations. You had to really listen hard. I mean, it wasn't what we expected to have after getting it in there, for sure.
Now, the PowerPoint presentation, do you remember, what do you remember from the meeting?
I remember that everybody in the room, I do believe Ricky Inman may have been there, who also still believed that Terry Britt had done the crime. He was with Decatur County Sheriff's Office maybe at the time. But as far as the TBI investigators, the supervisors, and myself, we had excluded Terry Britt. I remember specific things, and it was a very long PowerPoint. We all listened. We made remarks. We asked him questions. The majority of the PowerPoint were other people that Terry Britt had stalked, which, since we had cleared him, this was not going to be there anyway. But had you gone to trial on Terry Britt, if he had committed this crime and went to trial, all of those other stalkings would have been 404B. If anything, those would have never come in. And also, I don't know that you could have used them for impeachment as well. But as I said earlier, Terry Britt, could have been good for this crime based off that history alone and based off his stalking and the prior rapes. I remember a few specific things that still stick out to me now. One was based off phone evidence. There was a period of time where there was a gap, or there was nothing. I don't know how to explain it, but I remember that Terry Dykes said, here's where the rape occurred. The rape occurred right now. And we said, what rape? Do you have a rape kit? Has Terry Britt admitted to rape? Do you have a witness to rape? Like, at the time that we did that, you would assume that a predator, whoever that person is, that might be the motivation for the crime. But he specifically had in there that this is where the rape happened.
And you use some words. You got rape kit, and that's a kit you use on a victim if they've been raped.
Right.
Witnesses to a crime.
Right.
Now, at the time, what was your understanding of where Miss Bobo traveled on April 13th, 2011?
Before we come back to that, can I finish the other points of the PowerPoint? Or
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The one thing I remember was on the day of April 13th of 2011, Terry Dykes said that a truck or vehicle that looked like Terry Britt's went past Am Farm on 641 or 69. We didn't know if it was his. You couldn't see who it was. It didn't stop. It didn't do anything except go down 641, which everybody does all day long in that area.
Let me ask
The
you one. Do you remember Mr. Britt's cell phone records showed he was actually in the same area where the farm vehicle was?
I don't, and I'll answer what you have to, on the cell phone stuff and my knowledge of that. But the purpose of the PowerPoint was that he drove by where her phone was found, is the way he presented this. But as I said, he didn't stop. He didn't throw anything out, and obviously later we got other information about the phone and the location of where it was.
All right. I have my diagram. Are you discussing?
Let's, I think we marked that as an exhibit, so let's call it out.
Exhibit 15.
We're looking at exhibit 15. Go ahead, sir.
Are you aware, or were you referring to the travel of the victim's cell phone that I have in these purple cards, where there was no activity between 8:26 a.m. and 8:56 a.m.?
I think that's correct.
And did anybody say at the time her remains might be found in this area as well?
I don't recall that.
All right. Have you learned after you left the case that her remains were found in the same area? There was no activity for 30 minutes.
I don't know that.
All right. Were you aware there was a .380 spent round found next to her remains?
I do not know anything that happened with the investigation once I came off the case.
Okay. Did you have a theory at the PowerPoint meeting as to where Ms. Bobo traveled that day?
No, and what I can tell you is I'm not very mathematical at all. Phone evidence in that area, if I recall right, was 2G at the time. On any of my cases that I had worked in the 24th, particularly in the more wooded or rural areas, mostly what we were looking for was who talked to who to be able to corroborate if people were together or not. And it got very dicey with the cell towers and the sectors and what you could actually prove about any kind of location to a certainty. And I recall that there were pings or things with his phone as well as with Zach's and Autry's. So, I mean, there were things going on with the phone evidence, but what was most important to most of our cases was more who was talking to who and when were they talking, because I think it was mile radiuses at that time. I mean, it was a very wide radius. You could not say somebody was right here at this spot.
And I'm sorry, you just said Zach and Autry were pinging. That wasn't at the PowerPoint meeting, was it?
No, but I'm saying later as well. I mean, I just don't know how the science at that time was not very good.
Okay. All right. At what point did you participate in an investigation of without warning?
No.
Do you have any memory of who that was?
I don't know what you're asking me, no.
Okay. Throughout 2013, your testimony that the A team, Autry, Adams, and Austin, were not prime suspects.
During 2013?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I think they were.
When did they become prime suspects?
I know that shortly after the PowerPoint presentation in February of 2013, some point in early 2013, Agent Ferguson took over trying to organize everything that had not been entered due to everything not being electronic at that time. We all became aware at that time that there were a lot of leads that had not been run down as the other people, including Zach Adams, Shane Austin, and Jason Autry. We made a list on some flip charts of all the people that we needed to go back and interview that had not been done with Terry Dykes or Art Viveros or the group. People had not been excluded that we thought had been excluded. And so we were making a list of people and we were working on that. Meanwhile, we were continuing to get tips regarding Jason Autry, Zach Adams, and Shane Austin from all law enforcement, people that had informants, defendants that were getting arrested on cases, victims or witnesses from other cases were continuing to come back to these guys, and that was getting reported to us. So I believe Terry Dykes left TBI, as I said, I think it was the middle of 2013, I would say June or July. Sometime before he left, I went to him, as I had done numerous times during the investigation, to say, how did these guys, what about these guys? Everybody is talking about Autry, Adams, and Austin. And he would say, they're alibied. We got alibis for them. There's nothing else to do. So before he left, I went to him because we're getting kind of just this influx of information at this point in mid-2013. And I said, how are these alibis? How are you excluding them? He said, well, two of them were together, which he was saying was Shane and Zach, and the other one was at work. And so at that point, I got with the supervisor at FBI, and we still have everything coming in. At some point in 2013, he went through their stuff, and TBI was trying to go through their stuff, both paper and electronic, to pull all the statements that any of those three made to witnesses out in the community about each other during law enforcement interrogations, as well as anybody that mentioned them in a statement, to pull all of that. So sometime after Dykes left, between that July of 2013 date and coming up to the end of 2013, this is when we were pulling everything and trying to get it and trying to figure all that out, and we started going back. At this point, we were getting more focused on those three as we were going forward. And so I know that...
Let me ask this. So if somebody said that in late January or late December of 2013 or early January 2014, Sheila Kilser called and that changed everything, that wouldn't be true.
What it changed was, was it exclusive? No, we were getting on these guys at that point. So what had happened, we were able to, they came forward, I think, in January of 2014. So we were accumulating these items and going through statements and trying to re-interview people and do all of that. So the piece that they brought, I think, accelerated our process, but we were getting focused on these guys, and we were going back and interviewing people. We were trying to get all that together. So I think it certainly by January, it was testimony that we didn't have. We did not have anybody that had seen her alive at any point. So for that alone, let us know that we were getting on the right track with what we were doing.
And you said testimony. You just made a statement.
Yeah.
There were statements that Miss Bobo was alive by other people prior to this Sheila kills her? People had said they seen her, things of that
Oh,
nature.
yeah, all over.
Okay, so when you say Sheila kills her said they saw her alive, other people had said,
Post-abduction.
other people had said post-abduction they'd seen her alive. There were reports and leads that other people.
And that's correct, and I think FBI handled most of those and went out. But this was her with Jason Autry and Zach Adams as told to her.
Okay. But to be clear, your statement is from July 2013, the A-team was on a focused journey with your office.
I'm saying that we were still working other people because we had made the list on the charts. But yes, we were continuing to get information, not just things that we had already taken in. We had law enforcement coming to us and telling us, so we were beginning to get there.
Was it your understanding, and we're going to stop momentarily, that when Sheila Kilser called, she was hoping to get favorable treatment for her son, Jason Kilser?
I'm not authorized to discuss that.
Okay. As in your capacity as the state prosecutor, was that information anything you took into consideration, or are you saying you can't testify to it?
I didn't have anything at the state, so no, I cannot testify about that.
Okay. Now, prior to this time, you would agree there had been, Clint Bobo had a voice, he matched Mr. Britt's voice?
What I recall about the voice ID was that Clint had said it was, he heard mumbles, that he thought it was Drew. He did not hear the screams. This was through the structure of the home. I do know that Terry Dykes did a voice identification. I believe Clint picked out two or three people that it sounded like, and then Terry Dykes may have gone back another time. I'm not positive.
What you know, with what percent assurance Clint said that Mr. Britt's appearance matched Mr. Britt?
As to the appearance on the ID, I know that at the PowerPoint that Terry Dykes had a picture of somebody that Clint had said this person was built like, and he had another picture of Terry Britt next to that. I know that that Clint had also said that this body frame and type matched Shane Austin's after he had seen the body type of that. I know that when Miss Bobo and Clint went to have a discussion with Zach Adams, and Zach asked Clint what the description of the person was. After Clint gave that description, Zach said, "That's Shane." I was aware of that. And maybe most importantly, we did a backwards lineup with Terry Britt in it that I was present for, and Clint Bobo did not pick him out.
When was that?
I don't remember when the day of it was.
Do you remember, who's Agent Van Hooser?
That was Jack Van Hooser, who was supervisor for TBI at the Western District of Tennessee.
And do you remember his concerns about the truthfulness of Clint Bobo?
There were a lot of discussions about Clint Bobo. So I don't recall specifically that, but I do recall that overall we felt like a lot of things just didn't seem accurate for whatever reason. And I'm referring to, not hearing the screen. I think he had stopped and accepted some Facebook friends during this time period. So there are phone calls going back and forth. There was a lot that was going on. I think one thing that we had discussed was that the person that walked Holly into the woods, he didn't describe that they had all of her things. And of course, we knew that there was blood in the carport, which would be consistent with some kind of blunt trauma to Holly, which would make you drop your items. But walking in the woods, he saw an item in the person in camouflage's hand, but they didn't have her purse, her lunchbox, any of these things, which would indicate that the person driving the car would have left with those things. And so he didn't hear a car or see a car. So there were some things that we didn't feel like fit in, but we also realized that he had been asleep and woke up, was confused, was trying to take this in with phone calls with his mom. So there was a lot going on. I think it was super overwhelming. So I can't say I specifically remember Jack saying that, but we had conversations about just the situation and what fit.
Can you, witness be handed what's been marked for identification 21? It's in your binder, ma'am.
Oh,
21, yes. Oh,
What is it? Oh. Thank you. Wait a second. If you hang on to that part, I'll flip this one.
and if you can take a minute to review this document.
I don't recall ever seeing this document.
Okay. Never seen it leading up to today.
I don't recall seeing this.
Do you remember Agent Van Hooser's frustration with Clint Bobo?
I don't really remember, no. I don't really remember frustration. I really didn't deal with Jack very much, honestly. I mean, he was a supervisor and kind of doing his thing, and on the day-to-day, I was really with the agents.
All right. You then were a part of the Sheila Kilzer, at the time of Sheila Kilzer's report. Were you aware that Jason had made statements denying any knowledge of the rape, killing, abduction of Holly Bobo?
Jason Autry?
Jason Kilzer.
I can't discuss what Jason Kilzer said.
In the state.
I didn't. Can you ask it again so I can see if I can answer what you're trying to ask me? I just want to make sure I'm not.
Yes. Let's start with this. Sheila Kilzer made a report that her son had information about what happened to Miss Bobo.
That's correct.
Were you aware the same son had made prior statements in this case, prior to the phone call?
Prior to what phone call?
Prior to the end of the 2013, January 2014, Sheila Kilzer phone call.
Okay. You mean when she reported something?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what's the question?
Had you had any awareness of prior statements of Jason Kilzer?
I don't think I can answer that. I don't know how I can separate. I didn't have a state case on him at all, and so if you have something you want me to look at, I'll gladly do that.
This has been handed. Just an IR.
Yes, Your Honor.
1490.
IR 1490 as exhibit 70 for identification.
Have you ever reviewed this?
I don't remember this. And I don't, the Billy Tucker, that name doesn't ring a bell at all to me either. I don't remember this.
Okay.
I will leave it for identification then.
That's fine, Your Honor.
70.
And would ask that this be identified as the next for identification.
Mark for identification, the next document is exhibit 71.
And Ms. Boswell, this document, did you ever look through this document?
If you'll let me read it, I'll let you know. I just don't remember this. I just don't remember Billy Tucker. I don't remember this statement.
Okay.
I see that it's on the IR and I don't doubt whatever was said, but I don't recall this document.
Is it important when you're gaining evidence for a murder trial that if an informant had given prior statements denying any knowledge, that's pretty important?
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna, yeah, you're gonna have to keep up with that. It's
Okay.
not, it happens all the time, but you have to turn all that over, and that's used as impeachment, yes.
Well, I'm not asking about whether you win or lose at trial. I'm asking about the accuracy of your investigation if you're being lied to by an informant.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna wanna know that.
Yeah. You're going to want to know what their bias is of changing their testimony, aren't you?
Correct.
What are some of the biases that defendants in other cases have in your career?
Your Honor, I'll object again to relevance.
That's fine. I'll move on, Your Honor.
And as exhibit 71 for ID only, since the witness could not
That's
identify
for
it.
ID only, 71, 77.
Now, you state that Sheila Kilser's report accelerated the focus on Jason Autry, Zach Adams, Shane Austin, correct?
Yeah, I think I did use that. I think I did say that word.
Now, at this time, I believe the Sheila Kilser, do you remember when Ms. Kilser met with TBI?
I don't, but I believe it to be December to January of 2014.
And was part of your job reviewing the IRs as they were coming in as well?
No.
You would not?
Like these didn't exist. Like things were coming in on handwritten pieces of paper, and they were still going back to the beginning over years worth of things to enter these. So other than when I really saw, you know, I would know this information because they were telling me and I was discussing it, which is why some of it I may or may not remember. But until I got ready to try to turn over discovery to get this out, like, I didn't have all these printed out. I didn't have this where I could read all of
Okay.
these, if that makes sense.
Did you ever participate in compiling this document, or not compiling, but reviewing it as part of the discovery process after the arraignment of Zach Adams?
I mean, as part of this, at the time that the discovery was taking place, I had already been accepted but was waiting on background check to come full-time federal when the discovery process was ongoing.
Okay.
So it was like, I had to get a scanner delivered and a copier delivered, and I was responsible for all those terabytes of information. So I was just trying to get it on some kind of form to be able to get that turned over before I left.
Have you ever seen, do you remember ever seeing this document, IR 1883?
Our witness has been handed the document for identification of Exhibit 72.
I don't believe I've seen this document, but these statements in here, I believe that I was told this information.
Okay. Now, at this time, January of 2014, did you know who Dennis Benjamin was?
No,
Did you have any idea that the Bobos had a quote-unquote investigator?
yes,
Who, did you know who it was?
I did not, and I didn't have any dealings with that, but I just recall that Jack Van Hooser had been dealing somehow with this investigator. I don't want to jump ahead, but if you notice at Dylan's sentencing, when I called him to the stand, I didn't even know his last name.
We'll talk about that. Real briefly on Jack Van Hooser, was he always in?
To the next one, let's, are there objections to the IR 1883?
I would ask that it be marked ID only.
Okay.
She didn't identify.
At this stage, it will be for identification only. Exhibit 72. Now, this has been handed in another document for identification, Exhibit 73.
Do you remember looking at this document?
No, sir.
Do you remember Van Hooser, Agent Van Hooser, telling the Bobo family Clint was giving the defendant a get-out-of-jail-free card?
No, sir.
That you just have no...
I just didn't deal with Jack that much, so
Okay.
no, I do not remember this.
All right, we'll just mark that for identification only, Your Honor. Was Sheila Kilser's report part of the reason eventually you and General McAdams went to the grand jury to get first-degree murder charge, especially aggravated kidnapping, and rape?
I can't discuss what was said in grand jury, but I was aware of that. But there, as I was talking about kind of the acceleration, so a lot of things were happening in January and February before Zach's indictment in March of 2014.
To your knowledge, was Dennis Benjamin working this case at that time?
I don't know.
When did you become aware Mr. Benjamin was working in this case?
I wouldn't know when that was. I just remember at offhand, Jack Van Hooser indicating that the Bobo family did have an investigator.
And Agent Van Hooser knew him,
Yes.
vouched for him.
I don't know about that, but he knew him, yes.
After, let me ask this, when Sheila Kilzer called in January of 2014, was Dylan Adams in Obion County Jail?
Yes,
And this was the charge that you prosecuted as an assistant U.S. attorney.
correct.
When was he arrested?
I believe it was July of 2013.
Okay. During the same time, according to your testimony, that Zach, Jason, and Shane were suspects.
Correct.
And what was the federal charge?
He was charged with being an addict in possession of a firearm, being in possession of a stolen firearm, being in possession of a obliterated with no serial number firearm, aiding and abetting Kilzer as a convicted felon in possession of a firearm.
What? I'm not a federal attorney, so you're going to lose me quickly. Can you talk generally the range, the most in terms of months, all of these crimes?
I mean, I know what his range was.
Yes, ma'am. That's all.
If that's what you want to know, Dylan would have been looking at 46 to 57 months.
Okay. If convicted of all charges.
Correct.
Were there state charges also?
No.
Okay. And what county did this occur in?
Decatur.
Any reason,
think.
as the assistant district attorney for Decatur County, state charges didn't come?
There wouldn't have been any reason because I indicted him federally.
All of those were state crimes also?
Yes.
Okay. And when was this arrest? July
It was
20?
July of 2013.
How soon after that, do you remember where he was housed, Dylan was housed?
I don't, because I don't keep up with that. I know
Okay.
at some point he was in Obion.
How soon after that, to your knowledge, did TBI start to investigate and interrogate Dylan in Obion County?
It was, I think, in 2014.
Okay. After the Sheila Kilzer.
And, right, I think she was more around like January of 2014, and then, if I recall correctly, Dylan would have been somewhere around in February of 2014.
Okay.
A lot of stuff was happening at that point.
To your knowledge, was a lot of stuff including Dennis Benjamin talking to witnesses?
I don't know about that.
Okay. You were.
I mean, I can tell you what I did mean by a lot of things. If you want to know, I can tell you that.
We'll come back to it. You were, fair to say, coordinating the interrogation of Dylan to obtain evidence to prosecute in state court.
Can you ask that again?
You were coordinating the interrogation of Dylan Adams to prosecute defendants for the Holly Bobo crimes.
I mean, we did interview him, yes.
And your opinion, did that interview create the breakthrough necessary
what it did at that time, based off me talking about January and February with so many things happening, we were going back and interviewing people. So we had busted Autry's alibi, which had never been done. And Terry Dykes had said that Autry was at work that day, so we found out that he was not working for the Douglas guy or the Taylor guy, that Douglas had last paid him, I think, like a month earlier. And we found out prior to any interview of Dylan that Matt Ross with FBI had encountered Zach, and he had the scratches on his arms. We knew that Shane Austin, Jason Autry, and Zach Adams had lied to law enforcement, comparing their statements. We knew that they had given some statements on each other, and we had all the witnesses' statements of everything that they had said to them. And then we also found out about THP and Warren Rainey and his interactions with Zach and the mattresses and all of that. So all of this was coming very quickly at that point in 2014. So I you know, when I said it like accelerated that, it was one factor in what we were doing. I mean, I knew as a prosecutor that we couldn't just count on that. You always hope that you can, but you never know. Like, he was one witness, so it did play a part for sure, because what he did say we had from no other source.
Do you remember the sentencing hearing for Dylan Adams?
I do.
Do you remember how you summarized it to the judge?
Yes,
How
I
did
believe
you-
so.
how'd you
That he had given us information to help us solve the case. I remember I called Jeff Jackson and let him testify about how the role that he played in it. We were hoping that he was going to testify.
I don't have a copy for the judge.
Well, I'm not sure.
The judge unsealed this?
Which will, Your Honor, I think we probably need to talk logistics of this. This is a sealed exhibit, but the witnesses just talked about it.
I understand, but you talked about it, that you were sealed by the judge, though, in federal court, correct?
Yes, sir.
Has this not already been entered and kept it sealed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's just refer to that exhibit,
Okay.
and then you can.
I will.
I'm not sure what she can testify to about it, since it is sealed. As far as in the public arena, certainly the court can review it.
I do plan to cross-examine her with this, and if this needs to be sealed, I have no objection to this proceeding, this part of the proceeding.
I don't know how we can talk about what's contained within these pages that are sealed without an order from Judge Breen giving us permission to do that here today with the public watching.
The state filed it as an exhibit to their motion.
Sealed.
Sealed.
If it's sealed, I still have the ability to use this in the proceeding. If we need to seal this part of the proceeding, I'm perfectly fine with that, Your Honor.
Well, at a minimum, that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to give him an opportunity to cross-examine her, to examine her about it.
Yes, sir.
That's the state's only objection, is the fact that it was sealed by Judge Breen, federal court.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Ms. Boswell, we'll take a recess.
Yes, sir.
You're not allowed to discuss anything that you testified to.
Yes, sir.
You're not allowed to talk to either opinion attorneys.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's recess. Ladies and gentlemen, the next part of this testimony was sealed by the federal courts. So this court has no authority to unseal that. But Mr. Adams and Mr. Bates do have an opportunity to present it as a part of this proceeding. So this next session of the court, and that does include, recording, will be sealed. So we won't be recording, media recording, obviously in our recording. So we're going to recess. Chief, I'll ask that you, clear the court.
All rise. Good. Thank you.
For now.
All rise, please. Court will come to order.
Thank you. You can be seated. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Bates, you may continue your examination.
Ms. Boswell, prior to leaving your office as Assistant District Attorney, did you have occasion to ever review video surveillance from the ATM machine in Parsons?
No,
Did you ever discuss it with any TBI officer?
no,
Did you review the cell phone information from Zach Adams?
I think as I stated earlier, what I knew about the phone evidence was when calls were made back and forth between people to basically show when people were or were not together. And as I stated, it was just very sketchy as far as the location.
Okay. Did you ever answer this question to yourself? At 925, Miss Holly Bobo's, it's the last known location of her phone being active around Gooch Creek Road. You familiar with that at all?
I'm sorry, did I ever ask myself?
Did you ever answer this question? Where was the victim's body?
We did not have the body at that time.
So
So no, I mean, I remember pings of Zach and Jason Autry being towards the river. I remember where we found her phone after Rebecca Earp said he pulled over in that area in the rain. Zach did and threw something small. And I remember that they took her to show TBI where that was and they found Holly's phone.
who did?
TBI,
That's how you think it was found?
yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, they had the phone before that, but later after they talked to Rebecca, she said he pulled over and they said, can you show us where? And it was where they had found the phone prior.
Were you aware how many times Rebecca Earp's testimony or discussions with TBI changed over the course of this investigation?
No, but we found that as we went along, that when Jason Autry got locked up and everybody was seeing how it was going, people became, in January, February of 14, people were beginning to talk more. That's not unusual.
Was Rebecca Earp, was she threatened with criminal prosecution, including possibly the death penalty in this case by
No.
Valerie Trout?
Not that I'm aware of.
You don't know.
No, I don't know that.
Did you ever review Valerie Trout's interrogation?
No.
Okay. Now, you acknowledge that the information received from Dylan that Sheila Kilser's statement kicked off, that information turned out to be not true.
The information of Dylan's statement
And Sheila Kilser's.
I mean, I didn't handle that later and I didn't watch the trial.
Okay. Well, how do you account for taking this information for indictments on information that turns out to be false?
Sir, I'm not going to discuss what went into the grand jury room. However, as I've already stated, investigations do change. I mean, we went in with the information that we had at the time that we present that case.
And when you say information changes, you mean Dylan Adams' possible testimony?
I mean, in any case,
That includes Dylan's.
it could happen with Dylan or anybody.
So, your version of the truth is only as good as what people are telling you, right?
I don't think I have a version of the truth. I just do my job the best way that I know how. To go in for an indictment, I make sure that I have probable cause that is plus sufficient evidence to prosecute beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, that is based on what I know from agents and investigators, yes.
One for the judge, one for the witness.
The witness has been handed a copy for identification of Mark Exhibit 74. And you have a flash drive for Exhibit 73.
We will, Your Honor.
Okay. Make sure you give that to the court reporter.
Ms. Boswell, is this letter you identify?
Yes, I can. This is a letter that I emailed to Luke Evans, who was representing Shane Austin.
And this was after the Shane Austin interview in Murfreesboro, correct?
Correct?
And an immunity agreement was worked out.
We had one drafted. It did
Okay.
not go. Did not go through.
Are there objections to this being entered? Are you wanting this entered?
No.
You wanting this one entered, Mr. Baker?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Mark, I'm gonna have to say 74, 75. 75.
The more I just handed, mark it in.
All right. Now, I believe your last thing you said to the judge was we had drafted in the immunity agreement, we had not executed.
I didn't say we didn't execute it. I think I said it didn't go into effect. Maybe we did sign it.
Okay. Well, you said draft. You signed it.
I drafted it, and we all signed it. Yes.
All right. That was based on whether Shane was going to corroborate what Dylan had said.
No, that's not true. That was based on Shane giving us Holly Bobo's body. Either take us to the body or that there be, they were concerned if the body had been moved, and so they negotiated to add in here, it should say, or we could verify from the place that Shane gave us that the body had been there and that there was no credible evidence that it was not there. This was all about recovering Holly's body.
Are you aware then, you're not aware until today, that this same month, Dennis Benjamin is going to Victor Densmore saying, if you don't give us the body, you're going to get the death penalty?
No, I have no knowledge of that.
And in your letter to Luke Evans, you say, it is still the position of this office that your client Shane Austin was not and has not been completely truthful, candid, forthcoming, or cooperative as to any and all aspects of the Holly Bobo investigation.
That's correct.
But you just said earlier you don't have a truth.
It's not what you said, Your Honor.
I said I don't take a version. Sorry,
Well,
Judge.
I'll ask, what did you say about
Objection sustained. Rephrase the question, Mr. Bates. Let me make rulings, folks. Okay? Don't talk over me. Don't talk over one another. Thank you.
what did you say about whether you knew the truth?
You said my version of the truth. I refuted the way you worded that, yes.
The truth is, you didn't know what happened in March of 2014, did you?
Yes, I did know what happened.
Based on what Dylan told you.
No, based off of everything in the case, sir.
So you thought Jason Autry showed up mid-morning after everything had taken place and the body was wrapped in a quilt?
Jason Autry had not cooperated at the time I had this case, Mr. Bates.
So no, you did not know that.
No, I didn't know it.
And the information you had, you thought Jason Autry was the ringleader.
No, I never said that.
Did you believe it?
I think he and Zach were equally capable of the crime.
You revoked the immunity agreement, correct? With Shane Austin.
Because he did not follow through with the agreement of what the wording was on here. I sent the email. I don't have it. You guys took that away from me, but I told him that he had not been completely truthful, forthcoming, or cooperative.
Let me ask this. If you ever, in discovery, mislabel something, is that significant in your mind?
I guess that depends on what that is, sir.
Okay.
I don't know what you're referring to.
If surveillance video is supposed to be from one location and it's mislabeled from another location,
I mean, I think that depends on who did it, if it's intentional, if somebody's trying to hide something, or if it's a mistake. I mean, as a prosecutor, we try to turn over everything to the best of our ability.
you admit multiple witnesses said the same things that turned out to later be false.
I don't know what you're referring to, sir.
Okay. You just don't know one way or the other.
Can you repeat your question?
Did multiple witnesses in your investigation say things about Jason Autry that later turned out to be false? And if you don't know, that's fine.
Not to my knowledge.
Multiple witnesses say the same thing about Victor Dinsmore that turned out to be false.
I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware that people implicated Victor Dinsmore?
No, I think he was on our list. I don't remember what the proof on that was. Again, there were hundreds of people on our list. I do remember that he came up.
Were you a part of discussions where, prior to leaving as the assistant U.S. attorney, where information from Dennis Benjamin was exchanged and discussed by both TBI and your office?
I'm sorry. I'm a very bad askee. Can you repeat the question?
I'm probably the bad asker. Let me ask this. Were you a part of conversations that discussed what is Dennis Benjamin doing?
Just through what I had previously said about Jack Van Hooser had indicated that Mr. Benjamin was doing investigations for the Bobo family. And I know that the two of them were in contact.
Okay. There was no formal case file ever turned over you from Dennis Benjamin?
No.
There was no subpoena issued for his work?
Not while I was on the case.
You were on the case when Without Warning had a subpoena?
I don't know what you're referring to, but if you tell me
Okay.
what that is, I'll try to answer your question.
Were you aware that Without Warning was working with the Bobo family?
I don't even know what Without Warning is.
Fair enough. And Dennis Benjamin was not bound by the same rules of TBI or your office in how it conducted his investigation?
I don't think any investigator would be bound by the rules that we are. It's not in law enforcement.
And you never once asked for any of his recordings?
I didn't.
Correct.
I didn't even know that he was making recordings. I've never heard any recording.
Those are my questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Bates, the last document handed to the witness was never even discussed. The immunity agreement.
If we could
I marked
make-
it for identification, Exhibit 76.
If we could make the immunity agreement and the letter to
We did
Ms. Robbins.
admit Exhibit 75 as an email. State objecting to the immunity agreement?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move it into evidence as Exhibit 76.
For identification.
No, we're gonna move it into evidence. All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Boswell, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. First of all, let's start with, what is a salsa? How long did you perform duties as what we in the business call a salsa?
It's a special assistant United States attorney, and I did that from August of 2011 till I left to come full-time to the federal government on August 10th of 2014.
Is it fair to say in the time that you worked as a salsa, there were, I don't know, hundreds of salsas across the country?
Correct.
It was a program started with the Department of Justice and local elected district attorneys to get the biggest, longest sentence we could for the most violent offenders in the communities.
Correct.
Is that fair enough?
That's correct.
It was placed into being to fill the gaps in state law, correct? So when Mr. Bates characterizes this as you doing something, I don't know, shady, or I don't know what the implication is that he's trying to paint. Explain to the court again why that role existed and what you did in that role, what your job was.
So the job of any person that is what we call a SAUSA, which is S-A-U-S-A, it's very beneficial to both the elected DA from that district or that jurisdiction, whatever it may be, and the federal government. The elected DA, through the DA's conference, continues to pay the salary of this attorney. This attorney then works, we have part-time ones and full-time ones, and then they are focusing on serious offenders from that community that, based off of federal resources, we may not be able to take. So you're able to kind of streamline cases on the worst of the worst from those particular jurisdictions for the state.
Cases are reviewed and decisions are made whether the federal government's going to prosecute it or whether the state government is going to prosecute it. And very rarely, if ever, do both jurisdictions prosecute one offender because resources are limited. Is that a fair assessment?
That's fair.
Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. You were in trial the day that you learned that Holly Bobo had been kidnapped. You arrived on the scene on that Friday, 2 days later, and is it safe to say that there were countless people involved in this investigation, both those that carried guns and badges and those that were neighbors and people that loved the Bobos and people that loved this community and just wanted to help?
That's correct.
And everybody in between.
Correct.
And there was a command center set up, correct?
Correct.
There were federal agencies involved, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation was involved, every local state sheriff, police department, they were all on the ground.
Correct.
Looking, working. And they would gather information and they would bring it back to the command center.
Correct.
Was it your job to decide what leads got followed?
No.
As a prosecutor, is it your job to follow up on a lead?
No.
Is it your job to, as a prosecutor, to advise law enforcement if they ask you questions?
Correct.
Is it your job as a prosecutor when a law enforcement officer comes back and says, you know, I just took this statement and here's what this guy's telling me, and I mean, yeah, he says he was at work. I think that seems believable. As a prosecutor, are there follow-up questions perhaps to that?
Correct.
What would some of those follow-up questions be?
Like, did you talk to the boss? Did you get their timesheet? How did you verify that this person was at work?
And a good investigator is going to say, you know what, Ms. Boswell, that's a great idea. I'm going to go do that tomorrow. I'm going to get on it.
Correct.
Right? And you rely on that officer to do that work for you.
Correct.
The IRs that have occupied the evidence in this case, or in this hearing rather, those weren't being generated in real time, correct?
No.
Officers weren't coming in out of the field and sitting down at a computer and ginning out an IR that you then got to read.
No.
In fact, if you look at some of these, the time span between the activity date and the actual creation of the IR could be days, could be weeks. It's just a matter of when the officer could get around to it. Is that
Correct.
fair?
That's correct.
Was it your job to make sure the IRs were getting done?
No.
That's an internal TBI function, correct?
Correct.
everything was on paper in this case, right?
Correct.
Today, we have computers that have the entire universe and then some on them. But this, back in 2011, was legal pads, pens, scraps of paper. Social media was just new. Is that fair enough?
Yes,
And the cell phone technology was much different than it is today.
correct.
Every morning there was a briefing and every afternoon there was a briefing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How closely did you work with Johnny Walker?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I worked closely with him, but I do, you know, I remember several things that he had done as far as in the command center.
Like what?
One thing was that he just sat still in the same chair for 5 to 6 hours staring at this map that he put on the wall with some little pins of pieces of evidence while everybody was going out and doing interviews, and he would stare at it and say, if I just know the water level, I will be able to predict where everything first started before wherever it landed. And everybody's like, okay, you just go ahead and do that.
So he carried a badge and a gun at the time?
That's correct.
Were the other officers that carried badges and guns working on this case, whether they were assigned, and let me ask this question, were there people working this case, people trying to help the Bobo family and this community find Holly? Were there people doing that was their job, and there were people doing it that were law enforcement that were just doing it on their free time, on their
Yes.
off-duty time?
All of that.
Marshall Walker had a badge and a gun,
Yes,
but instead of being out looking, I mean, we hadn't found Holly Bobo's body, we hadn't found a gun, we hadn't found hardly anything in the early days, correct?
correct.
But he was sitting at headquarters.
That's correct. And
Did you, go ahead, I'm sorry.
you had asked me what I had seen. The other thing was Easter. Holly got taken on April 13th. That was a Wednesday. I believe, without looking at a calendar, that Easter would not have been that Sunday, but the next Sunday should make that maybe the 24th. On that Friday, due to these briefings that we were doing in the morning and the afternoon, we would lay out what we were going to do the next morning. So everybody would say, which team is going to take this, which team is going to take this. They would ask me, you know, can we search here? Do we need to get a document for this? Any issues that were coming up, I would research that at night and report back in the morning. So on that Friday, we were discussing what everybody was going to do on that Saturday morning, and all the federal people were saying, well, this is Easter weekend. And we're like, yeah, we know that. We'll be back here in the morning to do the briefing of whatever we're going to do over the weekend. So they basically, including Johnny Walker, said, yeah, we want to be with our families, and this is Easter weekend. So a tip had come in from a wife on a turkey hunter. I want to say the last name was Ham, but a tip had come in. I don't recall the exact content, but he had gone turkey hunting and was wearing camouflage and acted weird when he came home. Johnny Walker believed, he said 1,000,000% this was our suspect, and he was going to work this till the end to prove that this turkey hunter was the one that was responsible for the crimes against Holly Bobo. I watched him on that Friday afternoon. The way it would work when you were working somebody as an agent, you would take that and try to get printouts of everything you could on that person, you know, different kinds of law enforcement databases. So he had a stack of paper on his turkey hunter, and I watched him on that Friday afternoon, after he indicated he would not work on the weekend, take his stack on this turkey, get up on a chair, and put it on the top shelf behind some other items, which I have never encountered in law enforcement. So I went up and I said, excuse me, Mr. Marshall, but if that's your secret information on this turkey hunter, that you are 1,000,000% sure committed this crime, if we want to work on that this weekend, we're going to take that stack down that you just hid while you're trying to get credit for solving this case, but you don't want to come here and work.
Is it fair to say that perhaps his mission wasn't aligned with everyone else that was contributing their time and effort and energy?
That's correct.
At some point, is it fair to say you grew frustrated with him?
That's correct. I think that was my last conversation with him.
Did you also at a time become frustrated with Terry Dicus and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
Yes.
Do you remember about when that was?
It will be after we worked through 2012 and in the beginning of 2013, when everybody else had excluded and we had cleared Terry Britt, and we just could not get Terry Dicus to get past that.
Let me ask a little bit more about that. As we sit here today, we have a linear timeline of this case. We know the last time Karen Bobo saw Holly. We know when her body was found. We know when a jury walked into this courtroom and said, we find the defendant, Zach Adams, guilty as charged. We have a history of this case. At the time and the days and the weeks that you were working on this early on, things were more circular. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Chaotic,
Yes.
perhaps, is a word. Tips were coming in about a myriad of people, correct?
Correct.
People whose names you knew,
Yes.
like Terry Britt.
Yes.
How long have you been a prosecutor?
33 years.
State and federal. You teach at the National Advocacy Center, correct?
I taught at the state a lot, and I do teach federal classes, but I've not taught at the NAC.
But teach federal classes.
I
And you've
do.
taught state classes on prosecution.
Yes, ma'am.
Trial advocacy.
Yes, ma'am.
How many murder trials do you think you've handled? Not just tried, handled, touched.
At least 100,
All right. How many rape?
maybe more than that.
All right. Can you think of a case in your career as a prosecutor in which the defense team was handed the gift that they were handed in this case in the form of Terry Britt?
No.
I mean, seriously, like in the history of criminal jurisprudence in the state of Tennessee and perhaps across the country, what better suspect is there than the sex offender down the road?
That's
Right?
correct.
And not only is he a sex offender on paper, but you just look at him and you get creeped out. Is that fair enough?
Yes.
Some of the most bizarre fact patterns that you've probably ever read as a prosecutor at the hands of Terry Britt and his wife.
Yes.
Tell the court, what evidence could you present to a jury sitting here today in 2025, after all that Mr. Bates has just shared with you that you didn't know before? What evidence could you present to a jury of 12 people as to Terry Britt's guilt in the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Holly Bobo?
None.
Zero.
0, after working him for over a year.
He looks the role. He looks the part. On paper, he looks the part, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
0 today.
Correct.
And 0 in 2011, and 2012, and 2013, and 2014. Correct?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Are you familiar with our standards as prosecutors that we must meet before we can ethically present a case for prosecution?
Yes.
What proof do we have beyond a reasonable doubt, given any and all possible defenses? Any and all possible defenses. That's the standard we have to meet before we can go into a grand jury, correct?
That's correct.
It's not the same standard for getting a wiretap order, correct?
Correct.
Did Terry Dicus ever come to you about Warren Rainey?
No.
Did you talk with Terry Dicus daily?
Yes.
He had your phone number, you had his phone number, you were in the same room much
Ye-
of the time.
Yes.
Did he ever mention Warren Rainey to you?
No.
Did he ever mention Matt Ross to you?
No.
Warren Rainey is the Tennessee Highway Patrol officer who on his own, I think in the day or day after Holly's disappearance, parked himself at Zach Adams' house, correct?
Correct.
Looking around.
Correct.
What did he find? Or what did he see?
After he went up to talk to Zach, he was at the grandfather's residence, and he went to sit across the road after he had been there, and Zach took off in a straight sprint back to his house. Warren Rainey went back the next day then to try to get consent to search the property. And he got that consent, and they didn't find anything as part of that, but what he noticed was there was mattress laid up against Zach Adams' residence that was not there. And after he talked to them and he pulled away, he had people, I don't know, I can't remember if they were reserves or EMTs, one of these people that were working, he put them in the woods to see what would happen after he left.
They posted up in the woods. They hid in the woods, right?
That's right. And
What did they see?
after he left, Zach Adams came out and vacuumed the mattress, vacuumed his car, which was in a shed, vacuumed in the shed. And Warren Rainey told Terry Dykes about it, and we found out about it in 2014 when Agent Ferguson and I were going through bags of evidence, and we found some gloves that we did not know what they were, and it had Warren Rainey's name on the outside of it. So I called him and said, do you have any idea where these pair of gloves came from? He said, oh yeah, that's the day that everything happened with the mattress. We're like, what do you mean mattress? We have no idea what you're talking about.
Warren Rainey's telling you that.
That's correct. He said, I told Terry Dykes all about it. And so we went back and looked, and Agent Ferguson tried to search for an IR, and there was nothing.
No IR. This is in 2014. You're learning about bizarre behavior of the defendant relative to a mattress, running from law enforcement and washing a mattress in a car out for an hour and a half.
Yes.
Would you have liked to have had that information in 2011 as a prosecutor?
Yes.
Happens in 2011. It wasn't Matt Ross's job to do the IR, correct?
Or Warren Rainey. No.
Warren Rainey, I'm sorry. It was not Warren Rainey's responsibility to do the IR. Who does IRs?
TBI.
Okay. And only TBI.
Correct.
You pick that piece up back in 2014 when Agent Ferguson came on the case.
Correct.
Is it safe to say that when Agent Ferguson came on the case, it was a new day?
Correct.
New energy, new focus.
Correct.
So that piece gets investigated, checked off. During the course of you all literally going through every name that had been phoned in, and let me ask you this. So Terry Britt's name was getting called into you all. Who else are you going to suspect, right? Except the sex offender that lives up the road. He's suspect number one, great. But the names of Zach Adams and Dylan Adams and Jason Autry and Shane Austin, those were coming in too.
Correct.
I believe one of the first IRs mentioning the defendant's name was in early weeks after Holly's abduction.
Correct.
In 2011.
Correct.
But they weren't the names that were on the tip of the tongue of Terry Dykes.
Correct.
And the information that you were getting was coming through the funnel of Terry Dykes.
Correct.
If he didn't want you to know about Warren Rainey, he wasn't going to tell you about Warren Rainey. And if he doesn't tell you about it, it's a tree that falls in the woods that nobody hears. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did he ever come to you and say, Beth, oh my gosh, I just got off the phone with Matt Ross. You don't know who he is, but let me tell you what he saw. He saw the defendant a few days after Holly's disappearance. He saw Zach Adams a few days after Holly's disappearance with scratches. Did he ever share that information with you?
No.
Tell the judge about Matt Ross and what he witnessed.
as we were going back through to try to determine everything that Terry Dykes had not concluded, and what Kathy Ferguson was trying to get everything, we were going back and redoing a lot of steps to try to close things. We found out that Zach Adams had been arrested prior in Henderson County and had run from the police, and an FBI agent had gone out to talk to Zach Adams and had seen scratches on his arm that came down in lines as if they were fingernail scratches straight down the arm. And that FBI agent actually took pictures of those, and he said he reported this to Terry Dykes. It was never in the file. We did not know about the scratches. We did not see the pictures. The boss at FBI, Eric McCraw, followed up, talked to Matt Ross, and Matt Ross said, I think I still have those pictures. So he gave us those. They then followed up and checked with Henderson County to check with the officers that arrested him there, and to check his booking, which noted no injuries. And Henderson County said that he did have some scratches, but it was not those scratches.
And when did Agent Ross see the scratches?
He saw them, I want to say within 10 days or less. I know it was close in time to April 13th.
Close in time to April 13th. You have these. May I approach?
Could pass it up available, that's what I would.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Thank you. You recognize what I just had handed to you?
I do.
What is it?
It's pictures that Matt Ross took of Zach Adams' scratch marks.
And there's exhibit stickers on there. It appears these were exhibits at the trial. Is that fair to say?
Looks like it, yes, ma'am.
All right. I'd ask that be marked as the next collective exhibit.
Yes, sir.
I got it. This is from the trial, and we handed it up to them because we needed a copy of those. So she crossed out the trial number. This one up here, PCR number for the exhibit. So there's two. It looks like there's two exhibit numbers.
Just that.
Does the court
Just
need
that
to know?
one. No, it's
It
three.
says
photos.
3 photographs.
There it is. All right, these are already exhibit 14. Yes.
Oh, that's what Mr. Bianchi was telling me. Sorry, thank goodness for him. Thank you.
Still need those?
No, sir. No, sir.
They're already entered, so these are not going to.
All right. Sorry for the confusion. May was a long time ago. I'm going to pass you IR 1919. Mr. Bates has copies of all these.
Judge, just the entry of this IR, Mr. Bates. All right, we'll let her identify it first, that's fine.
You recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
This is the IR that Agent Ferguson did concerning the scratches. She did this report on February 13th of 2014.
When were the scratches seen by Agent Ross? When was the activity date?
April 23rd of 2011.
April 23rd, 2011. Scratches seen, but it's a tree that falls in the woods that nobody hears because there's no IR done on it until 3 years later when Agent Ferguson gets on the case to replace Agent Dykes. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. I would ask that be marked as the next numbered exhibit.
The witness said she was familiar with that document?
She did.
Okay, great.
Mark it as exhibit 7, IR 1919.
So, fresh eyes on the file, light being shown on things that you'd never seen before. Is it fair to say that you basically had to start over? Y'all had to re-interview, or TBI had to re-interview people that had been interviewed because you just kind of lost faith in what the focus of Agent Dicus. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Was his focus too narrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Had he ever talked to the defendant, or Shane Austin, or Dylan Adams, or Jason Autry, or sent agents out to talk to them that you know of?
Yes.
For what purpose?
To take statements or to talk to them.
And did he come back after each of those and say, they're all clear, they got alibis, I've talked to their alibis, and we're all good here?
He said they have alibis. All of them are alibied. We don't need to look at them.
Nothing to see here, keep moving, Ms. Boswell.
That's right.
Did you follow up and ask about the alibis? Who are the alibis? What are the alibis?
I did not at that time because I trusted that he had alibied them. I mean, but people kept, in addition to going back and redoing, at the point that we pulled all the statements that Jason Autry, Zach Adams, or Shane Austin, any statements that they gave to anybody, or any witnesses that said anything about them, when we started pulling all of those is when we were looking at everything that everybody said. And sometime between like February 13th and July of 13, when Terry Dicus left the TBI, we still had officers coming to us. We've talked to this person. We've talked to that person. You got to get back on these guys. You got to get back on these guys. And so at that point, I went to Terry Dicus and I said, how? I need you to tell me how you alibied these guys. He said, well, Zach and Shane said they were together and Jason Autry was at work.
It was the classic Three Stooges, right?
That's right.
They're
I said,
pointing
you have
fingers
to
at
be,
each other.
you have to be kidding me. You alibied two suspects because they said they were with each other. And I said, did you follow up on whether or not Autry was at work? And that had not been done.
All right. But it started to get done in 2014.
Correct.
Terry Britt was still on everybody's radar too, right?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that at that point, everybody's on your radar?
That's right.
The collective universe that was working this case,
That's correct.
everybody was a suspect.
We had sheets of paper, the big ones about the size of that board, all over the TBI conference room with names of everybody that we had to go back and re-interview because we couldn't trust what had happened.
I'm gonna hand you. Hang on, let me make sure I'm doing. Are these all your pins? Oh, no, this is just. I got you. I got you. There's that. And I have one for the court as well. IR 292, yeah.
All right, let's be handing you document for identification. Exhibit 78.
You recognize this?
I can just look
Oh,
at
yes,
it
I'm
for
sorry.
another minute here. Yes, this is from an interview with Shane Austin.
And this is an example of, well, you tell me, what is this an example of?
I mean, this was an FBI interview that he did with Shane Austin concerning what had happened. The date of this was April 21st of 2011.
All right. And is it safe to say that contained in this statements in this statement that the court is looking at in exhibit, what are we up to? 79?
78.
78. If we could have this marked as exhibit 78.
Objections to its entry, Mr.
No,
Mayor?
Your Honor.
All right, we'll move it into evidence, exhibit 78.
Is the court reporter ready? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. The piece in here about the black eye, the abrasion beneath the eye, was that
Correct.
important?
Yes.
Did anybody ever come to you, Terry Dykes or anybody else, and say, we've gotten this intel about a fight between some of these guys at Miss Dottie's?
No.
So this is an example of, and there's many other examples of this kind of information, bits and pieces of it trickling in that has to be run to the ground and the credibility of and the veracity of it confirmed.
That's correct.
Who people are with, what they're doing with those people. Let's go talk to those people and confirm or deny it, right?
That's correct.
We got to eliminate suspects and we got to find our suspects, right?
Correct.
Did he also share with law enforcement what he did on April 13th, 2011 and Thursday, April 14th, 2011?
That's correct.
He noted he did not work on either of those days, woke up at home, straightened up the house, and may have gone fishing.
Correct.
Is that a rock solid alibi for a prosecutor?
No.
So now Agent Ferguson is on board. Well, let me ask you this. Did you ever express, you did express frustration about Johnny Walker, but you also expressed frustration about Mr. Viveros with the FBI. Is that correct, with his superiors?
I just didn't interact with him. Like, again, he was just kind of there.
What do you mean, just there?
I mean, he didn't seem to be involved in very much. He was around the command center quite a bit.
So he wasn't out with everybody searching and on his hands and knees and gun-toting and talking to people and gathering stuff and...
I didn't see that, and I didn't interact with him, but once Eric McGraw got here and he was on the case, I interacted with him daily. Steve Champagne and Chris Miller were on the case. I interacted with them. I believe Bill Noski was the first one that was there when I got to the command center. So, you know, FBI was heavily involved from the beginning. They had some victim witness people that stayed in the home with the Bobos, so that if we had to have interactions, it wasn't just law enforcement pulling up all the time to upset them. But I just didn't, I really...
He wasn't your go-to?
He was not, and he didn't call, he didn't ask anything. The only call I got from him was after he retired on New Year's Day of 2013 when I was deer hunting, and he called to tell me that he wanted to be sure and tell me that Terry Britt did this crime.
Okay. That was in 2013?
That's correct.
Okay. But about the same time that you and Agent Ferguson and others are starting to realize that lots of trees had fallen in the woods and Terry Dykes didn't hear it, is it safe to say that Eric McGraw was also having those same concerns about Art Viveros?
That's
the
correct.
work he had done.
That's correct. I went to Eric just in general when we realized these list of people, we needed to go back and make sure everybody could be excluded. In addition to that, I told him as soon as Terry Dykes told me he had alibied Zach and Shane because they said they were together, and Autry because he was at work. Eric was having the same issues with Art of things not being followed up on, things not being done, and that's when I said, you need to get all of your FBI 302s pulled that mention these guys, any statement these guys gave, anybody that gave a statement against them, and Kathy Ferguson and I believe Joe Walker started doing the same. And then after that point, when we all, and I said, then we need to distribute it to everybody and get in a room. And then when we started going through what we had, we're like, these are the guys.
When Terry Dicus called the meeting with General McAdams, and he presents his PowerPoint, is it a fair characterization that it kind of landed with a thud?
That's correct.
Who besides Ricky Inman backed up what Agent Dicus said?
Nobody.
What proof did Agent Dicus have that you as a prosecutor, with the standards that we have of beyond a reasonable doubt, given any and all possible potential defenses, what proof did he present at that PowerPoint meeting that you could bring to a jury?
None.
We talked about him being a sex offender, right?
Correct.
Talked about him being creepy looking.
Correct.
He and his wife into weird stuff.
Correct.
He lives in the county.
Correct.
He's a sex offender.
Yes, ma'am.
Lives in the county. He's a sex offender. Propensity. Right?
That's right.
As a prosecutor, is it your job to get guilty verdicts?
No.
What's your job?
The job is to get the evidence that is supported by probable cause and admissible evidence that's sufficient to uphold beyond a reasonable doubt, and to present that before the jury for their determination of if you have proven the case.
If an officer comes to you and says, hey, I mean, come on, can't we just, like, come on, can't we just charge Terry Britt? Like, he's got to be, if he ain't good for this, there's got to be something else he has done in our community that we haven't caught him at, or somebody's afraid to come forward, and he's a bad guy. Come on, Beth, just give me permission to get him in grand jury and get him charged on something.
Absolutely.
Is that your job as a prosecutor?
Absolutely not.
Is it as much your job as a prosecutor as it says on the walls of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to make sure the innocent shall not suffer?
That's correct.
And there's no qualifying that word innocence, is there?
No.
In your job as a prosecutor, in their job as Tennessee Bureau of Investigation agents, as any law enforcement officer in this state, there's no asterisk by that word innocent that, oh, but if you're a creepy looking sex offender that happens to live up the road, sorry, we're going to charge you.
No.
If the easy thing for General McAdams would have been to indict Terry Brent, right?
Correct.
I mean, it would have been so easy. He'd have been the hero, right?
Correct.
He was under pressure, correct?
Yes.
Pressure that any elected DA is, right?
Yes.
But it never, ever, ever passed the smell test, right?
No, it didn't. I mean, we worked him really hard, and we did everything from A to Z, and we didn't have anything.
We, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, criminal justice community of the state of Tennessee, did things to Terry Britt and Janet Britt that had never been done in state history. Is that correct?
Correct.
It was like something out of a movie, right?
Correct.
We tell jurors and victims all the time as prosecutors and people in the community all the time, it's not like TV. It's not like TV. We can't just set it. And we did, right? We did.
Yes, ma'am.
You were listening. The government was listening to everything they were saying.
Yes.
And you got nowhere.
Yes.
Do you feel any different about that result today?
No.
How how long after the PowerPoint meeting was Terry Dykes, well, let me ask, Terry Dykes was removed from this case, correct, as the case agent?
That's correct.
By Jack Van Hooser?
That's correct.
And was Art Viveros taken off the case as well by Eric McGraw
He was.
and the powers that be at the FBI?
He was.
And after that happens, there's no more communication. I mean, you're taken off of that case. You ain't helping on the case, right?
That's correct.
You've been moved on to different assignments.
That's correct.
Before you left General McAdams' employment, the state of Tennessee employment, and went to work full-time for the federal government, General McAdams asked you to shepherd the discovery, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was an arduous process, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in 2014, there was a lot of discovery. There's even more today, but it was voluminous even back then.
Yes, ma'am.
You had to acquire extra equipment. You had to put aside every other job you had that was on your desk that you were trying to clear and do nothing but this discovery.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you interacting with Jennifer Thompson?
Yes.
When did you first begin interacting with her? Do you remember?
I mean, she came on the case pretty quickly after we indicted Zach Adams. And I started dealing with her then when we had segregated Zach Adams due to threats to Dylan Adams, and she was continually reaching out to me trying to get access to her client.
Jennifer Thompson was reaching out to you saying, I can't get access to my client. Can you help me?
That's right. She's like, this is a big case. I need that. You know, I need this. I need that. I have to be able to get to him. He was in the Chester County Jail. So I was the one going back and forth and trying to call them, and she would just keep on, I mean, repeatedly. And she had more access to any client than I've ever seen in my 33 years.
She had unfettered access, didn't she?
If Zach Adams wanted to call Jennifer Thompson, they took him to a phone. It didn't matter when it was. He was allowed to call. If
Go ahead, sorry.
if she called him, they would go get him, and he was allowed to talk to her. Usually there's hours or certain times, places when you can do that, but they would just take him to another phone and allow him to make that phone call.
So if he wanted to call, that was granted. If she called and needed to talk to him multiple times a day,
That's right.
people dropped what they were doing and made sure that happened.
At Chester County, they were communicating sometimes 4 times a day.
4 times a day, early on.
Yes.
Did she, let me ask you this, was she also given the ability to meet with him without screen in front of you and without wall separation, just whatever she wanted in terms of access to her client, it was given to her?
That was correct, but she kept calling back to get it. I mean, she was very persistent about it. So she was getting the phone calls. Then she said through the glass or whatever it was, she couldn't really show him, you know, materials, and she didn't feel like she could really represent him appropriately. And so I actually asked them to please let her go into her room with nothing between them to meet with him.
Were the other attorneys that represented his co-defendants also given that persistent with you? Were they blowing your phone up trying to get to their clients?
No.
Any of them?
No.
Did she also insist on meeting with you and Hansel
did,
McAdams, General McAdams?
And back to like the visits, she could also go whenever she wanted. Like usually attorneys have to call ahead of time and schedule when they're going to meet. She could just show up randomly and they would allow her to meet with him in that regard.
Did you ever get word at any point, did she call you and say, I'm here, they told me I could come and they're not letting me see him?
No. And she would have told me.
She was persistent,
Yes.
zealous.
Yes.
Did you and General McAdams meet with her and Mr. Simmons?
We did.
It was on a Sunday, correct?
Yes, it was.
At a restaurant off the interstate?
It was at a hotel. She had gotten a conference room, this was in March. It was after Zach Adams was indicted and before we turned over any discovery.
So she didn't even have discovery, but he's been indicted, she's representing him, and she's working it.
That's correct. And she wanted to meet to go over proof, and if we could tell her as much as we could about what we had. She didn't want to wait to get the terabytes of information so that she could go ahead and be working on his case and discussing with him. And she had recently brought on Jim Simmons and he came as well. And Hansel and I met them somewhere in Dixon, which was halfway, them coming from Middle Tennessee and us coming from the 24th to meet there. And we met with them for a lengthy amount of time on that day.
It's what we would call a reverse proffer, correct? She wanted to know what you knew, what the government had or the state had against her client,
That's correct.
as compared with her coming to you saying, here's how my client can help.
That's right.
How long was that meeting, do you remember?
It was hours.
Did you bring the terabytes of information with you and go through it with them?
No, because there wouldn't have been any way. No. I can't remember if we brought some things that we had. We may have done that, but basically we just had the discussion with her going through what we did have.
Was she engaged?
Yes, she was.
Asking questions?
Yes.
What about Mr. Simmons?
Same.
Had you ever dealt with either of them before?
I had not.
Your Honor, if I could have one moment. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All those questions?
Yes, Your Honor. Why is it that you remember the IRs that the state provided you, but you just have no memory of any IRs I provided you?
Probably because the ones that they handed me are statements given by these particular defendants.
You don't remember looking at the Jason or Sheila Kilser statements?
No, I don't.
All right. Let me read to you from the transcript of a trial and tell me if this was true. Page 1598. Line 6. General Hagerman's asking Agent Booth, was there a day that you remember when this investigation changed? Answer, yes, sir. Did it come in the form of a phone call? Answer, sitting at my desk in Jackson, Friday afternoon, the 25th of January, phone rang. You want to say what year? 2014, the phone call. Did it refocus things? It refocused this investigation. After that phone call, were there people that you were interested in talking to? Answer, yes, sir. Question, who were those people? Answer, the focus of the investigation changed to Zach Adams, Jason Autry, Shane Austin, and Dylan Adams. So tell me, which is it? Was that version to the jury the truth, or is your testimony the truth?
I think they both can be true, Mr. Bates. I mean, I'm doing different roles than what Agent Booth is doing. So as we're going through this, yes, was it important when we got that information? It was, because we didn't have that information from other sources. But there were things coming in prior to that statement.
His words were changed, and you said during my direct, nothing changed.
I think what we got from that was affirmance of what we were doing. What changed was we were able to then not go forward on these things on the sheets that we were doing, and we were able basically to get laser focused on these guys.
Answer, the focus of the investigation changed to Zach Adams, Shane Austin, and Dylan Adams.
Okay, I just said it got laser focused. That's a change in the focus.
Are you familiar with Rule of Professional Conduct 3.8, Special Responsibilities of a Prosecutor?
I don't know what that rule says, but I know what my duties are.
The prosecution in a criminal case A shall refrain from prosecuting a charge that the prosecutor knows is not supported by probable cause.
Correct?
That's your standard.
Correct.
All right. Now, Hansel McAdams, you agree, honest man?
Yes.
Do you remember reading his letter to the court? I've carefully reviewed the information concerning the kidnapping and murder of Holly Bobo. I concur that there is probable cause to believe that Terry Britt and Janet Britt committed these crimes, and that other investigative techniques would be unsuccessful or too dangerous to implement at this time.
Yes, that's correct.
We can pass the witness this to authenticate.
I will mark it for an information, Exhibit 79.
Yes, this is the letter that the elected DA is required to do to go up on wires. Yes, sir.
And he wouldn't have signed that if he'd not believed it.
That's correct.
And I moved to mark it into evidence.
Objections?
No, sir.
Without objections, we'll move it into evidence, 79.
So based on General McAdams, short of the wiretap, there was nothing the state could identify that would either be successful or would be too dangerous. Right?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Based on General McAdams' letter, the point of the investigation on Mr. Britt was anything other than the wiretap was going to be unsuccessful or was too dangerous to try to get.
Yeah, and it's stated in the wiretap documents what the exhaustion is, what all we had done up to that point.
And January 17th, within days of the wiretap, Mr. Britt had been told this, you might be bugged. Right?
Yes,
And the wiretap was put in after the search warrant, so he knew the government had been in his home.
correct.
And he despised law enforcement. Correct?
Correct.
And you still place no significance on him understanding that he might be bugged?
No, sir, I do not. I told you all the things that we did to investigate him, and nothing turned up anything.
Except for when Mr. Britt told Marshall Walker, sounds like you got it figured out. Draw it up.
I know what you're referring to, and that was after Terry Dykes had been taken off the case from TBI because he lost his objectivity and was not working the case as he should. So he asked Johnny Walker in March of 2013, after he had gotten off the case, to please go and interview Terry Britt, who is a sarcastic, raping, stalking person who, as you stated, hates law enforcement. What he said after Johnny Walker went on and on and on, we know this and this and this and this and this and this. It was no question and answer. He went through, we have all of this on you. And what he said, to my recollection, was, well, it sounds like you have this all together. Get me a plea and I'll sign it right now. I referred to that statement as the my cousin Vinny statement because it was exactly like when the boy said, I shot the clerk, and then in court the agent said, he said he shot the clerk, because they tried to say that was a confession when it was nothing but Terry Britt being very sarcastic back, just like what he said at the time of the backwards lineup.
If he's really sarcastic then, and he knew he was being wiretapped, how do you know he wasn't being sarcastic on the wiretaps?
I mean, I don't know what he did know. I don't know that he knew he was being wiretapped. Somebody told him that he could be. Which is another reason why we went to the extreme of doing something that had never been done in the state of Tennessee before, because no defendants and the crowd that he runs with would ever think that that was a possibility for the oral communication.
You were specifically asked, well, let's come back to it. On an IR that you do remember about Shane Austin, it was put in the IR that he had surveillance cameras. Do you remember that?
I do.
What's the significance there?
I don't know that there was one. What was significant to me about that statement was he said he was by himself. And then later, after he got together with Zach Adams by July of 2011, everybody's stories matched. And now they'd gone here and here and here, and they were together all morning.
And have you gone through Mr. Austin's cell records to determine he was in fact in Parsons that morning?
I said I'm not as familiar with the phone records. No, sir.
You would agree that's a pretty important part of recreating April 13th.
It could be if the technology was pinpointing somebody, then that would mean a lot more. I mean, what was more important to me was the evidence that was thrown out when it is on Yellow Springs Road where he lives, very close to his house, and part of it in the corner of the grandmother's yard on Yellow Springs Road.
To be clear, that's along the journey the cell phone is traveling from 9:02 to 9:25 where it ended.
If you say so, sir. I don't know that.
Okay. You just don't know.
I do not know about your phone records.
Well, did you understand Terry Brett said that he had surveillance cameras on his property?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I didn't know you didn't call me back. I was just checking on you.
Yeah, I'm on the way to town.
Why?
Well, we gotta go do the post report.
Gonna do what?
We gotta go do the post report.
Do you recognize those voices?
I think it's Terry Britt and the sister.
Okay.
I thought y'all done that a while ago.
No. That takes about 2.5 hours.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't know you didn't call my cell phone back. I didn't know, and I called the house and you get action. I said, God damn it, we'll go again.
No, I had to go in the house and fill my place there. I put a no lock on the storage shed, and I put a no lock on the storage shed out back, and I took a piece of 4-inch, OSB, and went out there and screwed it over, and screwed it to my shop trailer, so nobody can't go in there. And
Oh, and your cameras working, or they take down?
no, they're there.
Pause.
They didn't.
This pause on minute 120.
Mr. Britt admits he had cameras on his property, correct?
Yes, sir.
Admit y'all, the government, didn't get them, correct?
Correct.
And to this day, those cameras have never been found, correct?
Not to my knowledge. I wouldn't know that.
You would agree someone imported?
Cameras on his house.
Yes.
I mean, I would have liked to have known, I guess, but I don't know if it's important or not till I would know what it was.
We can mark that the next number to exhibit.
That being exhibit A, part of discovery, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was, John.
We're moving into evidence as exhibit A.
Y'all, do you remember Mr. Austin's phone or bank records being subpoenaed?
I don't.
Well, do you remember General Wyrick asked you were in charge of marshaling the discovery?
Yeah, copying it, scanning it, and getting in a form to turn it over.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember the questions about whether Mr. Austin was where he said he was that day?
What? I don't know what questions?
Yes.
Which questions?
Law enforcement wasn't sure if he was really where he said he was.
I remember in the statement that you showed me, he said he was by himself, and I know by July, he then said exactly what Zach said, the places where they had gone.
And that the bank records verified that?
No, I don't remember anything at all about a bank. I remember a gas station, I remember buying
Not a bank.
pills.
At the bank records.
No, I don't remember anything about bank records.
Okay. And you agree, bank records don't lie. In other words, you can't indict a bank record in federal court, plead a bank record out to go live with Dennis Benjamin in hopes that the bank record's testimony stays.
Sir, I object, if I can, to that characterization.
I'm not sure what the question means, but,
I'll rephrase, Your Honor. What about Shane Austin saying that I had my satellite installed that afternoon,
Okay,
and that was verified?
okay.
You-
That was in the afternoon time, sir.
Okay.
I do remember confessions that he made to people.
And at the PowerPoint meeting, did anybody stand up and say, wait a minute, we actually told Judge McGinley in February the reason we didn't get any evidence from the audio was because of equipment failure?
Everybody knew that. I mean, we would have known that, sir. We was going through all kinds of things.
And General Wyrick asked you, was there any, why don't we just charge Mr. Britt on something? Remember that? Her questions to you?
Yes,
That's exactly what took place regarding Tequila Jones.
the case that was already that had already been there was indicted, yes, sir.
But it had been dismissed in General Sessions Court
That's correct.
3 years before.
That's correct.
And you said it was a challenging set of facts to convict on.
I believe so, yes, sir.
And within 5 months, Mr. Britt had already pled to it.
That's correct.
And is it your testimony still that you had no part in any communications with the prosecuting DA?
I told you that I did talk to him.
About plea deals? Did you talk about plea deals?
I said he may have called me to tell me what he was going to do. There was no interaction really between us. I
And-
called him about the case to have him look at it, and then he may have told me what he was going to do with it, but I don't recall.
Was that before or after John Walker's communication with Mr. Britt?
I believe at the time that Agent Walker would have talked to Britt, he had been transported, and so I believe that he had pled guilty.
Did anybody go back and follow up with Mr. Britt after that conversation with Mr. Walker?
Not that I'm aware of, no, sir.
Why not?
Why, there was no reason to.
Final question. If the recordings of Dennis Benjamin were on the discovery that you marshaled together, why didn't you listen to him?
Sir, I was no longer going to be working there. This was terabytes of information in a system that was mostly paper. All day long I was standing at a copier. Agent Ferguson, we were getting bags and bags of evidence. She had to open them up, photograph them, photograph the outside of the bags. I wasn't looking at anything. I was just turning everything over and getting it in some kind of form to go.
I promise. You accused Agent Dykus and Viveros of having tunnel vision. You were advised that Dennis Benjamin was working for the family in the fall of 2020, 2014. You were advised. You knew it had been almost a year. And you never once asked
for his file, his recordings, who he talked to, any of that?
I told you, I did not know about his recordings.
But you were on notice of them, of his work.
I knew that Jack Van Hooser had talked to him and that he was an investigator that was working for the Bobos. Yes, sir.
Those are my questions.
Ms. Wyrick,
Nothing, no, Your Honor.
Ms. Boswell, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.